It's a beautiful Tuesday in the upstate of South Carolina. So good to be with you on this Tuesday. The college baseball super regionals are set. Have you seen the teams? Have you seen the bracket? Have you seen what's going to go down this weekend? I'm excited. I love college baseball. The regionals as of last night are officially over. Some really good games last night, but the college baseball super regionals now is where the rubber meets the road, because it is time for those 3-game series that will decide who goes to Omaha. I'll tell you what happened last night. I'll also get you to where we are now with the World Series, the college baseball super regionals now being set, and a lot more on this show. Breaking news as of like 5 minutes ago, though. I do want to relay this information to you for you NBA fans out there. The New York Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau after 5 seasons as the head coach of the New York Knicks. That is shocking. I'll react to that a little bit later on in the show because I do have an opinion on that. I do have an opinion on if they did the right thing or the wrong thing there by firing Tom Thibodeau. But we'll get to that later. A big show coming your way, Tolos, on this Tolo Tuesday. In just about 15-20 minutes, we'll be joined by Chad Comer, the manager of the Hub City Spartanburgers. I almost said head baseball coach. We say that so many times on this show, right? The head baseball coach. But we don't say manager as much, rather. So the manager of the Hub City Spartanburgers, Chad Comer, joins me in about 15 to 20 minutes right here on this Tolo Tuesday edition of Wire to Wire. If you're a Hub City Spartanburgers fan or know people that are, guess what? You don't want to miss this interview. The Burgers are playing good baseball, man. They're playing really good baseball. We'll get into some Clemson football updates. That are hosting some pretty big recruits on campus today. For you Clemson fans out there at 3:45, stay tuned for that. We're gonna finally turn the page today. Today is a very big day when it comes to sports radio on Wire to Wire, because we're officially closing one chapter today, and we're opening another chapter today on this show. We're closing the spring sports chapter. We're closing the basketball, the baseball, all of the things that are still ongoing and that have completed. We're starting to close the chapter, especially when it comes to Clemson and South Carolina, and transition to what's happening 2 months from now, because as you Tolos know, it's football season. It's football. I know it's just June the 3rd, but it's still football season for many of you out there. So we're going to start to transition, close those chapters of what happened in the past 3 to 4 months, and start looking ahead today on the show to a little college football, some storylines that have captured your attention as a college football fan as we head into the summer months. Again, June's already here. I don't know how it got here so quickly, but we're going to start. Look, it makes me excited. It gets me excited. It makes me happy to start, and I love basketball and spring sports, but to start transitioning and looking to what is going to happen this fall. I can't wait. I can't wait. You realize we're only 2 months away? It is officially talking season when it comes to college football for the next 2 months. We'll be joined by Grayson Mann at 420 of TigerNet.com. He is live in person right now at Clemson, boots on the ground with the Tigers hosting some recruits. We'll also put a bow on the spring sports season with Grayson Mann. A loaded segment at 445 with our daily wires, including some breaking news that I just relayed to you. About Tom Thibodeau being released by the New York Knicks. Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. Don't worry, Gamecock fans, we hadn't forget about you either. And then at 5:45, I will give you my official prediction for what's going to happen in the NBA Finals. We'll also take a look at the softball College World Series Best of 3 series that has been set and that will begin later this week. So a lot to get to, a guest-heavy show, and a Tolo heavy show on this Tuesday. Appreciate you, Tolos, the Tolos that are already in the stream live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, where you can watch the show Live, Live. If you have never checked the stream out, next time you get home from work and you turn us off on the car radio, go inside and set it up on the stream, man. Put us in the background, right? If you're killing a little time in the evening, turn us on. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at The Fan Upstate. You can watch the show live right there from your mobile device or computer. And then for you Tolos listening on the traditional radio today, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville. Appreciate you as well. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open. Who is going to be the first Tolo to get their thoughts in on the college baseball super regionals on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line? The comments on the stream already buzzing. I'll get to that in a second. I already see April Mosley. I see T Swizzle, JD, and about 27 other Tolos in there at this very moment. So text line open. Phone lines are open as well. A big show coming your way. But let's start with the college baseball super duper regionals, right? You excited about that? Some really good matchups this weekend as we see who will punch their ticket to the College World Series. Welcome into the show. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you. Diesel, today's his last day of vacation. Today's his last day. He'll be back tomorrow as we're not letting him have any more vacation. He's had enough, right? So Diesel back tomorrow as he and I will be live at Ingalls on Asheville Highway in Bowling Springs, the Springfield location. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at what happened last night in college baseball to get us to where we are today, with the super regional schedule being set for this weekend. Last night, I told you on the show, North Carolina defeated Oklahoma yesterday, and it was not close. 14-4, the Tar Heels had a day at the plate, 17 hits, and took care of Oklahoma in an easy fashion and went on and punched their ticket to the super regionals. LSU last night defeated Little Rock. No surprise there. I know we were talking about yesterday on the show, maybe Little Rock had a chance to pull the upset, but LSU takes care of business and defeats Little Rock 10-6 and punches their ticket to the college baseball super regionals. Oregon State blanks Southern Cal. How about that last night? A 45-plus win Oregon State team. A really good baseball team, by the way. And later on in the show, maybe tomorrow, I'll kind of give you my prediction on who I think is set up in the best seat to go win the College World Series. Oregon State's right there, ladies and gentlemen. Oregon State's right there. They're really good. And I think they kind of were slept on a little bit during the course of the regular season. Oregon State's a team to watch. I think Oregon State will be in the College World Series and maybe competing for it. They're that good. Last night, how about this? Murray State takes down Ole Miss 12-11. So the SEC Rebels go down last night to Murray State. Again, a 40-plus win team at Murray State. Really good baseball team. So Murray State punches their ticket to the college baseball super regionals. Tennessee defeated Wake Forest last night 11-5 to punch their ticket. No surprise there. Miami takes down Southern Miss. A really good game and a really, really good Southern Miss team. The season's over, but man, Southern Miss, 47-win team. Think about that. Southern Miss is a heck of a ball club, and that was a really big win for Miami last night. I'll be honest with you. I thought Southern Miss was going to win. I really did. But for them to knock off for Miami to knock off Southern Miss last night and punch their ticket to the Supers, it says a lot. That was really, really impressive. So with that being said, Tolos, that takes us to the college baseball super regionals, where we are, the teams that have punched their tickets to the super regionals that will begin this weekend, Friday through Monday, June 6th through the 9th. The 4 days we will have super regional baseball before the College Baseball World Series. So here we are. Here's the slate. Want to hear from you, Tolos, on who you think may come out of these regionals. But Louisville hosting a super regional in Louisville, Kentucky. You have Louisville and Miami going at it for 3 straight games. Again, a Miami team that had a big win last night. Louisville, I'll tell you this, Louisville's a team that's I talked about Oregon State being slept on. I think Louisville was slept on a little bit over the course of the season. Louisville, Miami, that Louisville regional, man, or that Louisville super regional, that's going to be a lot of fun. I think those are going to be three. If it goes three, I think those are going to be some really good matchups. So Louisville, Miami facing off this weekend. In the Corvallis Super Regional in Corvallis, Oregon, you have Oregon State and Florida State. Again, two of the best teams from their respective conferences. Florida State was good all season long, and Oregon State, I just told you, I think Oregon State's got a chance to go play in the College World Series. But, boy, these are two just bruisers, two blue bloods going. I mean, this is going to be one great series here, 3-game series between number 8 Oregon State and number 9 seed Florida State. That will start Friday night at 6 p.m. I cannot wait for this weekend. It's going to be so much fun. Chapel Hill hosting a super regional. North Carolina will host Arizona in a 3-game series. North Carolina obviously punching their ticket last night or yesterday early. In the Auburn Super Regional in college baseball, you have Auburn hosting who? Have you seen this yet, Tolos? Auburn hosting Coastal Carolina. How about that? Auburn and Coastal going at it. Can Coastal somehow, some way punch their ticket to the College World Series and maybe have a magical run like they did back in 2016? First game Friday night at 9 p.m. I'm excited about that one, man. I really am. In the Los Angeles Super Regional, you have UCLA versus UTSA. So Texas San Antonio making their way west to face the Bruins in a 3-game series. In the Durham Super Regional in Durham, North Carolina, beginning on Saturday. This one's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You have Duke versus Murray State. Duke was good all season long and obviously gave Clemson trouble down the stretch. But Duke, Murray State, a really interesting matchup. 2 more for you this weekend in the Baton Rouge Super Regional in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. LSU, West Virginia. The West Virginia Mountaineers obviously came out of the Clemson Regional. Clemson fans, I know this one hurts because you feel like you wanted to be going to LSU for that Super Regional matchup. And then the Fayetteville Super Regional in Arkansas, you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday series between Arkansas and Tennessee. So there you go. Those are the regionals, those are the super regionals. They will go from Friday all the way through Monday. The first day of the College World Series will begin on Friday, June 13th, which is next Friday. And then the finals will be Saturday through Sunday and maybe even Monday if needed, June 21st through 22nd, which is the following weekend. So here we go. This is going to be a lot of fun. The regionals, by the way, now that they are in the books, we focus to the teams, the cream of the crop, and I cannot wait. I really can. This is going to be a lot of fun. I did tell you, Tolos, last weekend to check out the regionals that were happening, that I thought you would really find the college baseball regionals attractive, intriguing, and this weekend I think it's going to be even better because there's less baseball on, so it's easier to find it. It's easier to watch, right? And these games, I mean, I cannot wait to watch Oregon State and Florida State. And that starts at 6 o'clock on Friday night. That is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun. And then Coastal Carolina, one team from the state of South Carolina and Coastal playing Auburn. That's not going to be easy, but Coastal, I mean, you look at what they've done, I feel confident about them. You never know. I like the draw, just to be quite frank with you. I think you could have found the worst draw if you're Coastal Carolina than Auburn. On the Hub City Spartanburgers text line at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Madcraft, or let's see, this is not Madcraft, even though the text starts with Madcraft. I believe this is JD. He doesn't sign his text, so it's super confusing. He says, Madcraft had a great question on my show last night. I'm first on stream and text line, baby. So, again, no signature, but I'm 99% sure it's JD. Tolo, sign your text. It does help us identify who you are from the 344. On the stream, where 39 of you are already on, share that thing, Tolos. If you're watching, hit share, subscribe, get that thing out there, and let's get those numbers up, as Matthew McConaughey said, right? Let's share the heck out of this thing. And if you have, Tolos, if you have friends who are also into sports and you're a Tolo and you're a loyal listener to Wire on the Fan Upstate, make sure that you tell your friends. Make sure that you share the word that you Tolos, you do a great job on the show, but make sure you're doing your job off the show, off the air, and getting your friends, your family to turn it on and leave it on as well. We really want to grow this thing into something special. JD says the solo Tolo continues. Yeah, solo for me, but I'm not necessarily solo. I have you Tolos out there who are the interaction on the stream right now is fantastic. So I may be solo in the studio, but I have a lot of you Tolos out there that are commenting already. T Swizzle says YOLO Tolo. What's up, T Swizzle? JD says, no, I refuse to turn into football yet. I'm still a long ways off. Well, what a miserable life that may be. What are you going to do over the next 2 months? It's football season, JD. It is football season. High school 7-on-7 starting. OTAs in the NFL. It's football season, baby. It's ready. It's here. It's time. We're ready to go. We're fired up. You blink, June will be over with, and then July you have all your media days, right? ACC media days, SEC media days. We'll be at ACC media days. Rob Brown will be at SEC media days, and all the other conferences media days out there. Big 10, Big 12. I'm telling you, we're going to talk college football today. It's time. It's officially time to turn the page, in my mind at least. And I'm going to help you Tolos do the same thing because, my friend group, the friends that I talk sports with, that's what the conversation's doing now. Clemson's out. Carolina's been done, right? It's time to start looking ahead. 2 short months, Tolos. We can do this. 2 short months until August. Football season. April Mosley says, hi, everybody. What's up, April Mosley? Good to hear from you. As always, appreciate you being a loyal Tolo. If you don't know what Tolo stands for, by the way, and you've heard me say it in the segment, it stands for Turn On, Leave On. T Swizzle says, man, you're getting me pumped on a Tuesday talking about football. I hope so. That's what we're here for. JD says Diesel's only coming back for Ingles tomorrow. Rumor has it, if y'all weren't live on location, he would have stayed on vacation an extra day. And yes, I made this up. It's a good rumor, though. I like it. Good rumor. JD also says, how about Oklahoma going down in softball? Wow, yeah, that was surprising. Their dominance over the past few years comes to an end, right? At least for this year. I don't know how long that's going to last. But 2 good teams, Texas and Texas Tech in the College Softball World Series. JB with that Burns Rebels logo on his YouTube profile pic says Tolo. JD, not JB, but JD Wyatt says Madcraft must be still hungover from celebrating Miami's win last night. Well, he better celebrate those because there aren't many Braves wins to celebrate, right? JB says the Knicks management are idiots. That's why they haven't won an NBA title in 52 years. That's crazy, right? That is unbelievable. We'll talk about that a little bit later because big breaking news out of the NBA. The Knicks have decided to fire Tom Thibodeau. How about that? Thibs gone. Again, I said I have opinions on that. I'll share them with you later in the show. I will. Chad Colmer, the manager of the Hub City Spartan Burgers, joins us next. Tolos, y'all want to keep chatting, or you mean put the Be Right Back banner up during the commercial break? What do you want to do? You mean be different today and stay with you during the breaks? Is that what you want me to do? Let me know on the chat. I know Rob and Lonzo do that. They leave the curtains pulled back. I'll do it today if y'all want me to. If y'all want me to leave the curtains pulled back and not throw the BRB banner up, I'll do it on this Tuesday. I'm in a good mood today, so if that's what you Tolos want to do, but you got to tell me. There's JD. He says, no, we would love for you to stick around during the break. Well, there's one. Stick around. You watch me do all the busy work during the break. Is that what you want to do, Tolos? Just sit here and watch me? That's what you do. I mean, that's what Rob, you just sit there and watch him. I'm uploading that segment. If you're wondering what I'm doing, what is he doing? I'm uploading the segment. Is that okay? I need some water, by the way. April says curtains back. Oh, there's two votes. Leave the. You want to leave the curtains back today? Is that what it's called? I like that. That was a good little name there. Curtains back. $45 of you. JB says stay on. JD, I'll take that pretty face. Yeah. College baseball. We'll stay on today. How about that? Y'all want to stay on? We'll stay on. Keep the curtains back, the Tolo said. Don't ever say I didn't do anything y'all wanted to do. Don't ever say that. Y'all can see what I do during the breaks. Y'all think I just lean back and take a break and smoke a cigarette, probably, don't you? But I don't. Should we have like a little banner or something during the commercial break that says, I feel like we should, because if somebody tunes in, they're like, man, this is a sucky radio show, right? Some kind of little banner or something that says, radio commercial break, will be right back, or something like that. What do you think? Is this thing on? Test, test, test. Tolos, we're on a commercial break. We'll be back on radio here shortly. If you're watching the stream and wondering what we're doing, we're on a commercial break, but we're leaving the curtains down today. Leaving the curtains down. JD says they have a little bit more of an off-air convo. Well, who am I going to have a convo with, JD? I'm by myself. Diesel doesn't like the curtains being down. He likes to put the curtains up, so we've never done it, but I don't mind doing it when I'm solo, if that's what y'all want to do. If y'all see the phone ring, tell me. I'm waiting on Chad Calmer to call me. Cole with the curtain back. I like that. All right. Chad Calmer, Hub City Spartan Burgers. You ready for that? No, JB, no Marlboro Reds. Stay away from those cigarettes, man. Stay away from those cigarettes. I do, at least. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying I stay away from them. Text Chad. CB. I like that, April. That's funny. CBC, curtains back. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Need to make a graphic for that. CBC. Let's see if I can get ChatGPT to make a graphic. I like that. I like that. Do I call a guest or do they call you? 99% of the time I call them, JD, but today my contact, Spartan Burgers, said that Chad would be calling me. So that's why I am waiting on a phone. Usually I call them. That way we can kind of do it on our terms, right? But every now and then they'll want to call you. Like Spurrier called me. I didn't call him. He just called me out of the blue. You missed that story, by the way, JD. I didn't get to tell you because you were in Charleston Friday. You didn't get to hear the story of how the Spurrier interview came about, did you? At least I don't. Unless you went back and listened to the first segment of the show. Well, let me text Ian and tell him. Maybe he's busy. I guess people get busy. You didn't hear the story? All right, here we go. We're coming back. It was a funny story, JD, I'll tell you. Continuing wire to wire on this wonderful Tolo Tuesday. Tolos, are you ready? We have a guest set to join us here in the next few minutes. As soon as we effort him on the phone lines, Chad Colmer, the manager of the Hub City Spartanburgers, is set to join us any minute now, any moment now. He's probably busy. They're traveling or already have traveled. He's getting ready for a game tonight. I get it. Probably got a lot going on. So, JD, Tolos, all of you 52 Tolos watching on the stream, bear with me. We'll have Chad Colmer on in just a few minutes as soon as he can get into the conversation. Tolos, the Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open as well at 844-FAN-PHONE, 863-663. JD wants to chime in, though, on the phone lines while we wait on Chad Colmer. JD, what's up, man?
Hey, Cole, I just wanted to occupy a little bit of the time for you. I am not Comer. I am sorry, guys.
Well, I recognize your number. I recognize your number. I saw you. Hey,
yeah,
did you like what April Mosley, for those listening on radio that don't know what happened during the break, we usually put up a banner on the stream that says we'll be right back during the commercial breaks, but the Rob Brown Show, sometimes they'll leave that banner off and they'll talk to you guys during the break. April Mosley called it CBC, Curtains Back Coal. So did you like that? Should I start doing that more?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's a great thing to do. And like you said, you got to make sure to put up something. That way people don't know that it's not just some garbage, radio talk that's happening.
I know. That's my worry, though. If somebody tunes in the stream while I'm on a commercial break, and it happens on Rob's show, like I'll do that on Rob's show all the time. I'll click the stream, and they're just sitting there laid back or whatever, with their feet propped up eating ice cream, and I'll have to remind myself, I'll remember that they're on commercial. I do. I need maybe a CBC banner. I like the April Mosley coined that well, Curtains Back Coal. Or maybe I get ChatGPT to see if they can give me a banner to put up. I like, and again, for those that are listening on radio, like I said, sometimes when you get home and you have not done so, check out the stream if you've never done so. A lot of interaction on the stream today. Sorry, I didn't mean to hop over you, JD.
No, you're good. I appreciate it. Yeah, and if you guys aren't on the stream, you miss out on all of the best Tolos. So Come join the stream. Come talk to us. We welcome all of your opinions. And so, Cole, here, before Comer calls you, Madcraft, he called me last night and had a fantastic question.
Madcraft called you?
Well, he didn't really call. I gave him the stream link, and he joined me.
Gotcha.
But, we worked it out. So, I had him on the stream.
Okay.
But he was talking about pitchers and their pitch counts and how if you throw less than 24 pitches in your start, and if you recognize that pitcher just doesn't have it that day, you can get him out of the game and he can still start tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so it was just a really interesting question because we forget that a lot of times is that pitchers, they're on these limited pitch counts, especially in the regionals. But then in softball, you see all these pitchers. I mean, there was one pitcher from Texas Tech, I think, who threw every pitch for her team the entire first part of the
in softball it's different, though, because it's the natural arm motion, right? It's underhanded. They're not throwing overhanded. It's not hitting. I mean, there doesn't have to be a pitch count in softball, right?
Right. No, there doesn't. And that's what's just – it's so crazy about it to me is just like, you can trot out the same pitcher all the time, but in baseball it's so heavily regulated. Yeah. And Magra, he brought that up because I think the Miami pitcher – he had thrown 24 pitches and gave up 3 runs, and I assume they took him out of the game, and so they didn't have to give him a day of rest.
Yeah, and Clemson, too, with Reed Garris, because, when Reed Garris was pulled against West Virginia, it seemed like West Virginia, that's kind of when they opened that thing up. And I think Eric Bakich mentioned after the game something about a pitch count, but I'm going to say something really unpopular, and this might get pushback, but, I get the health and safety and priority of pitchers, but when you're in the regionals and you're in the postseason and you're trying to survive and advance, I don't really want to hear the pitch count. I really don't want to hear that as a fan. Like, I don't care. I know that's probably not a popular thing to say, but yeah, I don't care. I want to win the game. Bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was even, I think it was a Murray State pitcher. He got taken out after 6 innings, and he was throwing a no-hitter or something like that. Like, I get it. You want to protect the guys, their elbows. You know, I understand all of that, but guess what I would do at the end of the game? I'd put a little ice on it, put a little heat on it, figure it out. If that's your best pitcher, go with it. But, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting about the pitch count stuff. And then when you think about softball,
yeah,
they can just pitch as much as they want. My goodness, you can throw the same pitcher all the time. But anyways, Cole, I'll let you run. Y'all be blessed, not stressed. We appreciate you. Great stuff.
Thank you, JD. Appreciate the phone call at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. That's the number to call the show as well as text the show. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open at that very number. Appreciate that call. It is a good point, JD. Appreciate you bringing that up, and Matt Kraft, whoever brought it up. Yeah, pitch count. We'll continue to circle back to that. All right, let's go back to the phone lines where we bring on the manager of the Hub City Spartanburgers, Chad Comer. Coach, manager? That's a good question. If you're not the coach, do people ever call you manager, Chad?
I usually try to go by Skip.
Skip, I like that.
Or just call me by my first name, like just I'm Chad, but try to stay away from coach. You know, is obviously in college, everybody's coach. So, you know, when we do get those draft guys in that, it's like, hey, coach, I got a question. Hey, coach. And I'm just like, hey, you guys can just call me Chad. Totally fine. Skip, like
I like that. That's a good question because I just caught myself doing the same thing. We have a million coaches on, and I called you coach almost. So you can fuss at me too.
No, yeah, totally fine. I get it. It's just part of it. And, you know, hey, here's the head coach, Chad Comer. Like, I get it. Totally fine. But it's, I usually go by Skip or the manager or Chad, just Chad, you know, first name basis with all the guys and all that. And on that side.
I like that a lot.
Once in a while, I'll hit them back. And when they say, hey, coach, I'll say, hey, player, how's it going?
I love that. I absolutely love that as we're joined right now by Chad Comer of the Hub City Spartanburgers on the Fan Upstate. Coach, appreciate you taking a few minutes to hop on with me. You guys in action tonight, so I know you got a lot going on. But let's talk about the series last weekend at home against Winston-Salem. You guys are in Greensboro tonight, beginning that series against the Grasshoppers. But an overall winning record. You guys seem to be playing some good baseball, a split series, if I'm not mistaken, last weekend against Winston-Salem. Where do you feel like you are as we are now entering the month of June with this ball club and you got the development from your guys?
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest thing we've seen is like the pitching has been there all year, and our starters have really started to put together some really good outings for us. And so anytime you've got those starters going, you know, 5 innings, 6 innings, they're keeping you in the ball game and giving you a really good chance. And then bats have started to come alive a little bit. So, you know, overall, it's just been good to see the team kind of start to come together holistically and, you know, as they've played these last few series.
Do you learn something every game in minor league baseball? Because obviously in the pros and in college baseball, you know, it's you're trying to win every single game to make the postseason. And look, the principles in the sport, it doesn't change in the minor leagues. I get that, but do you still feel like even in the minors you're still learning about this team each day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that way just in baseball in general. If you pay attention enough, like you're going to learn something every single day. And the instant you don't think you're going to learn something or you're going to see something, it happens. It happens to you. And it's like, oh, wow, I was not expecting anything to go on right there. And then something comes up and you're like, what just happened? So I think that preparation and just staying engaged to each game, you know, there's a lot that goes on every single day. So the game's going to constantly teach you something each day.
A follow-up to that, what have you learned about this year's team?
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest thing is this group's got a bunch of resiliency, you know, whether we go down by a little bit at the beginning or, you know, maybe we're up and then give up a couple runs, some misplays, things like that, and then we end up falling behind late. You know, they're never out of the fight. This team's in it for all 27 outs, so until that last out's made, we always have a shot, and so it's been really cool to see that this group. And then Also, too, the biggest thing that stands out about this group is this group really cares about one another. From the pitching side to the position player side, any of it, like they truly care about one another. And so it's always fun to come to work each day with guys like that.
Coach, do you feel like through the home games that you guys have had and played at Fifth Third Park in Spartanburg, which, by the way, has been phenomenal, I've been able to attend a lot of those, do you feel like the fans have crowned the fan favorite throughout the first few months of the season?
Yeah, Arturo the Buffalo Diesel is by far, I think, the fan favorite out there.
Why is that, Coach?
Yeah, he's just, he's one of those guys. He's just a likable guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's always got a smile on his face. He's always chatting with people whenever they want to ask questions. And, he shows up every single day ready to go. And so I think the fans just really enjoy him watching. He might hit a ball 450 feet whenever you're there, too. So that's always exciting.
Is it as simple as us as human beings are so enthralled with a big guy coming to the home plate, wanting him to hit a home run that bad? I mean, you're right.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it's that wow factor that he just provides. And once again, he's just a likable guy. If you get a chance to speak with him, he's just a good person. So, I think just all encompassing there.
What about Dylan Dreiling? We all know what he was able to do at Tennessee. Can you talk about your first few months now that you've kind of been able to meet Dylan and see what he has to offer and what you think his ceiling is in the majors?
Yeah, he's a quiet leader in terms of, he shows up to the park every day. He goes about his business. And I think the coolest thing is, like, whether he's, not necessarily being vocal at the time or something, guys are constantly watching him, seeing how he prepares, what he does. And so it just feeds in that way. And, he's a complete pro in the way he goes about his work and shows up to the park every day. So, I think the sky's going to be the limit for him. And it's just been exciting to watch him play and become part of this group as well.
Chad Comer joining us right here on the Fan Upstate. Chad, when you look at lineup changes, like we talk about this a lot with the Braves. We cover the Braves a lot on this show and other major league teams. The lineup for the most part, as long as everybody's healthy, is pretty much set, right? Obviously, you have some changes throughout the course of the season. But when it comes to minor league baseball, do you change your lineup more than the common fan out there would realize if they haven't been to a game yet? How does lineup management come across?
Yeah, I think what you see is we cover it just in the way we workload for guys. How many have they played in a row? How many have they not played in a row? Things like that, like keeping guys' legs under them, guys that might be playing a little bit more than other ones. And so I think you see it fluctuate that way a little bit. But then more than anything, you'll see just the actual day-to-day order. It shifts quite a bit in the minor leagues compared to just having set orders all the time. So that's probably where you see the biggest fluctuation in it, is the guys aren't just going to constantly hit in the same spots all the time. Just getting guys exposed to different areas, different situations that might come up in those, and things along those lines.
Chad, you mentioned when we were talking about Dylan Dreiling, you mentioned his preparation. As a manager, do you have to kind of bring everybody on the same level of processes in terms of you've got guys coming from all across the world, right? Different colleges that have prepared about their game in different ways. They've grown up in different ways when it comes to preparation. Do you as a manager, as a minor league organization, have to kind of get everybody on the same page, or do you kind of allow each player to prepare for the game individually in their own way?
That's a good question. So I think with it holistically, all the staff, we're going to push our Rangers philosophy and the way we prepare and what's expected and how you're going to go about your day-to-day work. With that, though, I think there's freedom in it in the sense of every guy is wired a little bit different, what he needs before the game, how he needs to prepare. And then also, too, I think it goes into it how much certain guys might be playing. If guys are playing, 6 days a week out of 6 and guys are playing 5 out of 6 or they've played 18, 20 in a row, each guy's work might be a little bit different that day, but the preparation and what they do is the same in terms of if we're going out and we're taking in and out, everybody's taking in and out. Maybe a guy won't make as many throws that day, or maybe it'll be a no-throw day, things like that. So we kind of gauge it for each guy right there. Based off of what's their workload been like. But in terms of everybody coming out and being on the same page with it, yeah, everybody's expected to do the same things that we have scheduled each day in order to get better.
Coach, do you feel like, there I go again, Chad, do you feel like with the fan experience at Fifth Third Park thus far in 2025, do you feel like it's exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, you never know what to expect whenever you're first coming to a brand new stadium, but just and somewhere where baseball hasn't been in a while, and just then to get a chance to see what it's been like every single night, day in and day out. Whether we don't play the best game and then we come back and we play a really good game the next day, the fans are there to support us, and it's just been awesome from them from day one, and it hasn't let up at all. And so it's just been exciting to go out there and play in that atmosphere every night. And I know the players appreciate it as well.
Chad, always appreciate your time. Best of luck up in Greensboro this week and weekend. And let's go get them tonight, 6:30, Spartanburgers at Grasshoppers. Thanks as always, Chad.
Awesome. Thank you.
Chad Comer, the manager of the Hub City Spartanburgers. That's funny. I brought him on. If you tuned in late, I did it twice during that interview. I brought him on the air, and I said, Coach. And he's not a coach. He's a manager, right? And it was funny because that was the first question, but the question spawned because of my mistake. So as soon as I asked the question, I said coach, and bam, it hit me that I made a mistake. So I immediately turned that into a question of, what do people call you? And that was a really fun answer he gave. If you missed that, you can go back and listen on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. But he said either Chad or Skip. I like that. And I did it twice during that interview. I called him coach twice. But when all we have on is coaches at the high school level, the college level, whatever it may be, you're used to, you're accustomed to saying coach. You're not accustomed to saying Skip, unless you have a guest on named Skip. Always a fantastic conversation. Really appreciate Chad Comer for taking time to hop on with us, keeping it local, talking a little Hub City Spartanburgers baseball. That was fun, man. And I'll tell you this, if you Tolos haven't made a game yet, I've been to several. And like Tolo Kev, we keep saying that we're going to go. We hadn't been yet. You need to go. You need to go. And also Thursday night, Cole Swindell, country music artist, performing at Fifth Third Park, kicking off the BMW Charity Pro-Am. I want to say a big, big thanks to the guys over at the Hub City Spartanburgers and Tyson Jeffers for hooking me up. And Tolos want to let you know there are still some tickets available as well if you want to make it out on Thursday night. But I'll be there Thursday. Cole Swindell, the Hub City Spartanburgers are absolutely the best. They have exceeded expectations in every way possible in 2025 in Spartanburg. It's so much fun. It's been a lot of fun. And, from someone that's from Spartanburg, having that baseball team there, it's a game changer. It is absolutely awesome. So, good stuff. The Burgers are playing well, by the way. Let's see. 24-21 record, above 500, second in the SAL South. So, it's not like you're having to go and just be entertained by, the in-inning or the between-inning festivities. The team's actually really good, and that helps. It really does. Good stuff there. All right, on the other side, Clemson fans, if you are listening or watching, it's been a big day on your campus. I'll tell you why it's been a big day next. Are we still going CBC? Is that what it was called? April? Curtain back. Was it curtains back? Cole or Cole's? I don't know. I've already forgot. If I don't hear from you, Tolos, on the chat, I'm going to go to the banner that says we'll be right back. Y'all have got to let me know. How about that, Tolos? I spelled OTA wrong. I'm an idiot. I'm just going to put radio. People don't know what that means. Radio commercial break behind the... I spelled behind wrong. I'm an idiot. I'm struggling, y'all. I really am. B-E-H-I-N-D. Behind the curtains. Did I spell everything else right that time? Radio commercial break behind the curtains. Cool. I like it. There's April. What's up, April? Curtains back, Cole. I like that. What's up, other Tolos out there? What's on y'all's mind? What are y'all thinking on this Tuesday? What are you up to, April? How are you? Having a good day so far? What's up, brother Contreras? How are you, man? Watching the show live from the Bronx today, is that right? New York? Huh? April says, good day, better than I deserve. That's right. I'm with you there. Better than we all deserve, right? Brother Contreras says, you know it. Talking about watching from the Bronx. I love that. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. All right, short commercial break. We're coming back. Hey, if you just tuned in to Wire, I am Cole Bryson, but you just missed an excellent interview with Chad Comer of the Hub City Spartanburgers, the manager. I called him coach twice. It was funny. You need to go back and listen to that interview on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. There's titled chapters for you. Literally, it says Chad Comer. Like college baseball super regionals, that's titled as well. Very easy for you Tolos to find anything that you missed on the Fan Upstate. A really good Tuesday so far. Really good interaction on the stream. The stream, by the way, is kicking the butts of the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Let's see. I did miss a couple here. I like this text. It comes from your boy Brandon. I know who that is. He says, you got to talk football already because the Braves have the third worst record in the National League. From your boy Brandon. Go Cubs, go. That's wrong, Brandon. That really is wrong. How dare you talk about the Braves, right? That's funny, though. All right, let me let you hear a little Matthew McConaughey, and let me grab this quick phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Wire to wire, what's your name? All right, to the phone lines we go. And if you Tolos are ever wondering why I have to play something while I grab the call, well, FCC says you can't screen a call live on air. That's why. So I have to, when I'm solo, if Diesel's here, he'll just talk and I'll grab the phone call, right? But if I'm solo, I have to play something. Let's go to Dewey. Dewey wants to chime in. He's been late the last few days, calling in the last segment. But what's up, Dewey?
Yes, I had a couple of things. Well, first of all, why in the world does the Braves just hit a new rock bottom? They didn't play last night, but they lost. They lost anyways, because you know why? For some ungodly reason, they bring back Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah, you're right.
What is that all about?
They did bring back Freddie. You're right. Third base coach, they said they felt like it needed an improvement, Dewey.
That's not an improvement. That's not an improvement. If you look back in 2013, especially 2014, the 2014 collapse, Freddie Gonzalez lost the locker room. That's why they collapsed, and that's why they went into rebuild mode anyways. And they fired him and brought on Snicker. Now they're going to fire Snicker and bring back Freddie Gonzalez. That makes me angry.
I thought you were about to have to make me hit the dump button for a second. I thought you were about to go with the old BS.
I was about to, but then I would have to go to church, so I decided not to. I had to repent. But anyways, that's just garbage. And as far as football's concerned, it's time to talk about football again. It's
yes.
Baseball's garbage now. Well, the college baseball's still good, but the rest of it's garbage. And the only thing I'm going to say is about football is the Gamecocks, they're going to win 9 to 10 games again this year. And Shane Beamer is going to win SEC Coach of the Year. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Clemson and Dabo, I don't think they're going to do good. They're not going to do good at all because Bill Belichick in North Carolina, if Bill Belichick can get his team together, they're going to be the major player in the ACC.
Wow, really thoughtful call today. Thanks, Dewey. At 844-FAN-FON, 844-326-3663. Dewey weighing in and dropping some bombs. I did say, if you just tuned into the show, in the very first segment, as I was telling you what's coming up on the show today, I did say that today was a big day on Wire to Wire because we're transitioning away from the away from the baseball and the basketball, right? We spent all winter and spring talking March Madness. Yes, we still have college baseball super regionals, but it's talking season. It's talking season for football. Officially June, and it's time to roll. It's time to roll. It's time to start talking a little more football here and there. We'll have the entire month of June, July, and most of the month of August to predict and make some prognostications on what will happen during football season. But I'm ready, and that's the only reason I say that. And I feel the same way about Diesel. Like, we're ready to turn the page. We're ready to put a bow on the Clemson baseball season, South Carolina baseball season, if they had one, and start looking ahead to football. It's time. I'm excited. I know it's still a little bit away, but it's talking season for a reason, right? And speaking of that, speaking of me teasing you with a little football, Tolos, good news. Wire to Wire is becoming that football show that you loved. It's time to talk college football. In the next segment, it's officially summer, right? I don't care if the first day hasn't happened yet. June to me is summer. What is the biggest or the most intriguing storyline of the summer as we head into college football season 2.5 months away? That's the question I ask you, Tolos, next. I am going to grab some water, Tolos. I'll be back, okay, if that's okay. Well, the summer months, ladies and gentlemen, have arrived. It is June. We're now into the third day of June 2025. And as you know, when June arrives, college softball and college baseball starts dwindling down, right? NBA starts dwindling down, right? And the only thing that we're left with is Major League Baseball and daydreaming about college football. Well, guess what? We do talk Major League Baseball on this show every day that lasts 4 hours, right? If it were a 30-minute show, we might not talk much Braves right now because they suck. But guess what? Talking season is officially upon us. What am I talking about? College football, pro football. One texter's already brought it to pro. And that's okay because football is football, right? And that's what we all love. We spend June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, 8-9 months of the year talking football. And when we don't have football, it's a little depressing. I'm starting to get to the point now where I'm getting that itch for football. I really am. And I will let you Tolos know, when I itch, I itch. I mean, I'm telling you what, when I get that itch, I'm ready to go. You all know I'm a big high school football fan, big college football fan, and a miserable Dallas Cowboy fan. So I'm starting to get that itch. I was at a high school 7-on-7 competition this morning, and I'm starting to look. I'm starting to get that itch. I really am. I'm starting to feel like it's almost time to start discussing football full time again because that's where we're headed. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tolo Tuesday. Looking out of the windows here in the Fan Upstate Ingalls Market Studios. It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon right off of Woodruff Road in Greenville. I'm thankful that I'm not sitting in that Woodruff Road traffic over there that I see through the trees because that doesn't look fun right now. But if you are and you're listening to the show, appreciate you as always. Let us know if you're a new Tolo. We do fail to mention this sometimes, but if you are a new Tolo, if you're a new listener of the show, let us know your name, where you're listening from, how you heard about us. Phone lines are always open. You can call or text the same number, the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line. It's 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. Football, talking season upon us. Here we go. I asked the question going out of the hour or the first hour of the show, and I will bring the question back up to you, Tolos, on this Tuesday. The question is, as we are now into the summer months, June is here, and you blink, it'll be August, right? What are the storylines that have piqued your interest the most thus far at this point of the summer as we head into college football season? We'll take it pro another day because we did get one text on the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line about the Panthers. And we'll get to the pro. We'll get to that maybe later this week or next week. We're at the BMW Charity Pro-Am Thursday and Friday. But we'll get to pro football. Plenty of time to talk football. But when it comes to college football, I want to know from you out there, you Tolos, you football-loving listeners of the Fan Upstate, what are the storylines that have piqued your interest the most on this third day of June? There are a lot of them. There are a plethora of storylines heading into the 2025 college football season. Some of you Tolos have already dropped them on the stream in the comments section. 68 of you Tolos are watching the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to know what storylines have your attention the most heading into the college football season. Let's start the conversation right now. At 844-326-3663. If you want to call the show, you can do that. Phone lines are open. We'll have, let's see. I about said the wrong guest. We'll have Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com joining us in the next segment to put a bow on Clemson baseball. Final thoughts and get you a little football ready of what's happening this week and today at Clemson. But 1, 2, 3, go. What college football storylines have your interest the most? It can be locally, it can be on a national scale as well. Either way is fine on this Tuesday. Let's see. Eric Hines texts the show. He says, itching to watch the Cowboys suck? Fly, Eagles, fly. Eric Hines always making sure that he throws the dig, the shade at the Cowboys, which I love. I love the trash talk. And like I said yesterday, 2025, you can't really talk trash back. You just you kind of have to suck it up. So I can't talk trash back. One texter from the 434 does say not college football, and this may be a really early prediction, but the Panthers might actually be able to compete for the NFC South. Whoa, that is a big prediction. We'll get to the NFL. Like I said, maybe next week. But I want to hear those college football storylines that interest you the most. I've got several. And I'll get back to some of yours. I do see some of you Tolos on the stream already dropping yours. JB says, Cole, I'm ready to go rock it out on Friday nights at the new Nixon Field and watch the Rebels. Yeah, JB, I am too, man. I'll be there. I'm excited. I really am. I'm ready to roll. It's that time of year where I start itching, like I said. All right, I'm going to give you a few storylines, and then I'm going to allow you Tolos to rank them. I'm going to give you let me give you 3. I've got more than 3. But let me give you 3 college football storylines that have my interest the most, and then let's rank them. Let's figure out how they stack up, okay? Number 1's Arch Manning. The Arch Manning era at Texas is one of the storylines that I wrote down, right? Look, whether he'll be good or not, Arch is one of the most heralded quarterback prospects in recent history, right? Taking the reins at Texas this season, under Steve Sarkisian, they've reached the college football playoff semifinals in each of the last 2 seasons. And now with Arch Manning at the helm, Texas is poised for a national title run, they say, right? Their season opener will be a must-watch against Ohio State. So I am going to put the Arch Manning era is one of my top 3 storylines. And then, like I said, you, me, Tolos will rank those 3 and see which one is most intriguing. But I'm going to put that in my top 3. I don't know where yet, but I am going to put it in my top 3. There's so many. You Tolos are throwing some at me on the stream. There are so many already out there. And then number 2, I believe JD and JB, and I think everybody's already mentioned this on the stream. But you can't talk about storylines in 2025 college football and not mention Bill Belichick, right? So when you ask me what storylines intrigue me the most, I'll tell you Bill Belichick, I'll tell you the Arch Manning era, and then I'm going to give you one more, and then we can rank those 3. Like I said, there are several out there. But I'm going to give you one that you might not have. And I'm putting it into my top 3. This was a hard choice, though, I will say. My third storyline is, does the SEC claim its dominance again? Does the SEC in 2025 claim its dominance of college football again? Or do we truly see a level playing field like we did last year? Those are 3. We'll rank those 3. But I want to hear from you, Tolos, at what other storylines may be. I'll write them down on the rundown on my list as well, and I'll add to them because there are so many, like I said. I mean, there are just so many. Let's start on the stream, and then we'll get to the text line. April says, for me as an app grad, nothing would tickle me more than to see this Bill Belichick experiment implode. Yeah, I don't think you're the only one in that boat, April. I think there are several people that are with you on that. JB says the biggest storyline for me is will both Clemson and Carolina be college football playoff bound at the end of the season? Ooh, that's a big one. He also adds, will Klubnik and Sellers be sitting in New York in December? I might would subscribe to that. JD says one of his biggest storylines that has intrigued him heading into the college football season is, can Lenora Sellers actually be a Heisman Trophy contender? Can Cade and Lenoris both be two of the best quarterbacks, kind of like JV's point? And then he also says Bill Belichick at North Carolina. He goes on to say, and Prime at Colorado without Hunter and his son. That's a good one. That's one that I did not write down, but I am intrigued by that. I think we all are, right? I will add that to my list. I will write that one down because that is a very intriguing storyline. What does life after Shedeur Sanders look like at Colorado, right? JD says, Cole, I would rank yours Belichick 1, Arch Manning 2, and SEC dominance 3. I am so over people blasting the SEC for not succeeding in the past season. Sometimes when you play a gauntlet of a regular season, are just beaten and worn down by the postseason. They weren't as good, JD. I'm not trying to put the SEC on blast, but they certainly were not as good. So I get that you may be tired of that narrative, but they just weren't. They weren't as dominant. They were still good. I'm not saying that, but they were not as dominant. Let's see, on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, Dewey says Bill Belichick in North Carolina winning the ACC is his most intriguing storyline. Texter from the, 434. Texter says, my other storyline is the Buckeyes back-to-back, baby. Oh, man, that's bold. That's bold. I don't know about that. Oh, that was the texter that brought up the Carolina Panthers. That is a storyline, texter. That is an interesting storyline. As I think about that one, I did have Ohio State. Let me look at my phone here. I did not have Ohio State written down. I did. Ohio State title defense. I had that written down. Right? After last year capturing the national championship, you've got sky-high expectations again. Look, you lost 14 players to the NFL draft. And both coordinators, by the way, right? So you lost a lot. But the Buckeyes returned Jeremiah Smith, who might be the best wide receiver on planet Earth. You still have Caleb Downs back there in that secondary. You still have Ryan Day, right? I think Ohio State is an interesting storyline. I'm with you on that. Can they beat Michigan? Or does that become 5 losses in a row? I like that. Buckeye Brian, a different texter on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, he says, Buckeyes repeat OH. So we are being infiltrated with our resident Ohio State Tolos. We are. Let's see. Texter says Broncos winning the AFC West, ? Well, Texter, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to the NFL. We'll keep it college football related in this segment when it comes to storylines. But like I said, later this week or probably next week, we'll go NFL storylines. We will. I promise. Let's see. Texter from the 285 says, what an odd excuse to use. With that logic, I can say the ACC plays a gauntlet, and that's why they suck every year. LOL. Look, to JD's comment, the SEC is a gauntlet. I won't deny that, but the SEC was down last year. They weren't dominant. So I don't know that I agree with JD saying that too much was made about the SEC being down, because it was down. It was. But I also will agree that it's still a very tough league. It's still the toughest league. I get that. I do. I really do. It's tough. Let's see. JD says, can Lane Kiffin get over the hump at Ole Miss? No. I'll answer that. I've given up. He says Brian Kelly at LSU is a storyline. Yeah, it is. Can Brian Kelly also prove that he's worthy and can take LSU to the national championship, right? See Brian Kelly really early in the season right here in Clemson. We will. So, my three, again, I have Ohio State, Arch Manning, SEC getting its dominance back. Let's see what else I wrote down when it comes to the most intriguing college football storylines. Bill Belichick, obviously. I did write a note about Notre Dame. I did write a note about Notre Dame after losing in the national championship. First national champ, looking to claim their first one since '88. I wrote down dynamics of the new playoff. I know it's not totally new, but we do have some new seeding, right? So I wrote a lot of things down, but my three are going to be Arch Manning era, Bill Belichick, and the SEC claiming its dominance again. Those are the three that I feel like are at the top of the list for me. April says on the YouTube stream, can Joey Aguilar light it up at UT? Maybe so. Maybe so. JB says brings up Billy Napier. That's a good one. That's a good one. I didn't think about that. Billy Napier trying to save his job, right? Or to prove that he is worthy. But of my three, real quick, before we run to a break, I'm going to rank them of Arch, Bill Belichick, and the SEC's dominance. I'm going to rank them Bill Belichick 1 being my most intriguing storyline, Arch Manning 2, and the Arch Manning era at Texas, and the SEC possibly claiming its dominance again at 3. That's how I'm going to rank it. What do you think about that, Tolos? Let me know on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line if you agree or disagree. Let's put a bow on the Clemson spring sports season with Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com. Also, a big day on Clemson's campus. Some big-time recruits. Grayson will fill you in if you are a Clemson fan, if you have friends or family that are Clemson fans and you like to be in the know. Let them know that Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com, joining us next. We've talked a little college football in hour number 2 of the show. It's time to put a bow on a few things, tidy up a few things in Wire to Wire right here on the Fan Upstate as we are joined by Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com, good friend of the show. You hear him frequently on the show. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter if you are a Tiger fan in the Upstate today. Spartanburg, Greenville, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville. Grayson, I want to start with the conversation that we just had. I ranked my top 3 college football storylines heading into the 2025 season, and I want you to rank my top 3. My top 3 were the Arch Manning era beginning at Texas, Bill Belichick and the ACC, and my third one was a little bit of a wild card. It's the SEC trying to reclaim its dominance again. Those were my 3. How would Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com rank those 3?
See, those are all interesting because there's so many different angles, I think, with this football season coming up. I think number 1, I'd have to rank the playoffs and sort of that conference friction. How is that going to continue to evolve over time? Because of all the things we've heard, Greg Sankey making his statements at SEC Media Day, it's all been sort of a revolving door. I think that would be number 1 for me, seeing how the bracket shapes out and how that informs decision-making next summer. I think number 2 for me, and this is more of just my own personal bias, is that I'm really fascinated to see how Belichick works out at North Carolina.
Yeah.
I think that even though Arch Manning, it's the start for him, we've been used to him being around for a few years and knew this was eventually coming. Belichick was always that surprise and that wild card for college football. So to see him out of nowhere decide to come to college and come to UNC of all places, that's not considered a football school. And then the subsequent drama with he and Jordan Hudson, everything that's followed him. I just want to see it on the field. I want to see how it all culminates. It's going to be so fascinating. And then Arch Manning, of course, him taking the reins at Texas, going to have a lot of expectations. We haven't seen him a ton. The pick against Georgia and the win over, I think it was ULM when Ewers was hurt. So we've seen the sample size. But, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how UNC and Bill Belichick, especially since we get to cover them at ACC kickoff and especially with the Clemson matchup.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man. It really is. We are today on today's show, we're kind of transitioning away from certain spring and winter sports, right? Basketball coming to an end with the NBA Finals, and we're talking college football for the first time in depth today as we're in talking season, Grayson, man. It's talking season. So let's do that before we get into what happened on Clemson's campus today on the football side of things. Let's you and I put a bow for our listeners on the Clemson baseball season. We've already done so for softball. It was a great season for that squad. But for baseball, man, I spent a lot of time talking about it yesterday. I listened to you and David Hood on the Orange Crush podcast, which is great, by the way, as well. And I want to hear your thoughts. And now that you had a few nights to sleep on it after the very disappointing weekend in Clemson, putting a bow on the 2025 baseball season.
I've had a lot of conversations since the season has ended and just been able to digest it. Sunday, you had so much thrown at you in the most negative way possible that I think you just had to sort of take a step back and reevaluate it as a whole. And I have sort of the view from both sides. I think on one hand, when you have a program like Clemson that has Omaha on the back of their hats and so much goes into the preseason of, okay, this is a group that's going to push for Omaha. You will have to judge us. And this is Bakic's words. We will be judged on whether we make Omaha or not. And he said that's very fair. And so I think ultimately when you have those program standards and expectations, the season has to be considered a failure in that sense, is that you didn't make it out of your regional for the second time in 3 years, and you failed to reach the ultimate prize that this team has consistently preached that they want to make and reach that next step. And subsequent, and like in that same sense, this group had been doing this. They've been slowly trending up in the postseason. You get out of your regional last year, you face Tennessee you face Florida, mixing up the SEC schools. And so this year you felt, okay, is that an elevation going to continue, or is this program sort of just going to have this sort of up and down when it comes to the regional play? And you saw some decision-making, I think, in this regional 2, Cole, particularly against West Virginia. It didn't bite them as much against USC Upstate, but the decision to pull Reed Garris might have been the collapse for this group. You were up against West Virginia. I know Bakich had said that Garris was on a pitch count, and so you sort of had to navigate that. But he was playing pretty well, and it hadn't really given Bakich a reason to pull him. Try to give Malstedt the save record, and ultimately it blows up in your face and culminates in I think maybe the best way to end a season like this that's been so up and down, with a chaotic 16-4 loss to Kentucky that you knew you were in for a show when a throw to home plate hits the backside of a Wildcat. And so just to end that long ramble, yes, I do view this season ultimately as a failure for this group given the standard.
I was listening to your answer there, Grayson, and I kind of had a question pop up in my head, it was in relation to what you said with the program and how it's built at Clemson and the world we are in college athletics with NIL and the portal. Tell me where I'm off on this. I'm going to try to get my thought out and into words, but tell me how wrong I am in the sense of believing that if you were not, when it comes to baseball, if you were not already an established blue blood in the sport, it is very difficult to cultivate and develop recruiting to become a contender so quickly that when you do take the bruises and the bounces from the portal every year, and when I say bruises and bouncing off and the turbulence of the portal, the turbulence is because you're going to miss some, right? You took some bruises this year. So what I'm getting at is if you weren't already established as a blue blood when the portal and an NIL was introduced into college baseball, do you kind of agree with me in the sense that it does kind of put you at a disadvantage because you're having to go year by year? I may be wrong here, but I don't know that I truly feel that Clemson's program is built on development and recruiting.
It's interesting because the conversation has been about Clemson's portal acquisitions this offseason. They had to go deep, and they're probably going to have to go deep once again. And you missed on a lot of the players and the evaluations that you made. Now, yes, guys like Luke Gaffney and Colin Priest they were sophomores this year, so there's probably potentially, if you want to look at a glass half full, maybe another notch for them to be able to develop into. It's going to be an important offseason for guys like them. But you look at someone like Dominic Listy, who was really the only one that you felt really popped for this group and was a capable player alongside Canarella this season, especially within that starting nine. So ultimately, I sort of, and it's fascinating too, Cole, because last night we just watched Little Rock take down LSU. So it's not necessarily about the fun sometimes. It's just about the collection of parts that you're able to build together. And maybe this group just wasn't as cohesive as we'd believed entering the year. So I think Bakich, in that sense, he's able to recruit. He's able to turn a team that's maybe less than the sum of its parts and take it to a College World Series like Michigan. And that example, obviously, this was before the NIL era. I think it's always going to be tough. You're building a team consistently year to year because of the nature of it. Everyone's on a one-year contract. And so, Cole, to hopefully answer your question, I do think Clemson's built for it, but I do think it's still fascinating as we eventually get into this house settlement. How is that going to change certain programs, I think, approaches to how this all develops out? Sure. It's going to be a continuous, it feels like a merry-go-round where everything's just continuing to circulate, and you just have different pieces or different animals on the poles, wherever you call them, pop up. Pretty poor analogy there, but you have sort of just this roundabout thing that continues to have to be addressed. And so it's just going to be interesting for Clemson moving forward, particularly in that sport, how they try to develop that. I trust the Bakich to be able to do this, but it's going to be interesting rest of the way. I do, though, point out some of the teams with a lot of resources got their tails handed to them in this regional or this postseason. So it is interesting to see how it all shakes out.
So with that being said, what do you feel like the recipe is? Like we've kind of figured out what or where Clemson's gone wrong, right? But when you look at what Clemson needs to do, because to your point, that there have been some schools go down this weekend with some nice NIL budgets, right? So what do you?
Yes, and I want to also correct. Little Rock lost last night. I was referring to another game.
Sunday they beat. Yeah, they beat them Sunday, but they lost.
They competed. They competed.
They beat LSU on Sunday. Yeah.
Yes. But Yeah, they took him to the final They took him to the final route, but I think LSU ended up coming back last night.
last night. Yeah.
So that was
yeah.
just trying to correct that on that
Yeah,
end. But
listen, our Tolos, if you say, look, welcome to my life. If you say one thing wrong in a 4-hour show, you get corrected on. I'm telling you.
I'm like 20 minutes, so there's a lot less margin. There's a lot more of a margin for error here.
Welcome to my life, Grayson, man. TigerNet.com joining me right here on the Fan Upstate. What do you think the recipe is, though? Like you mentioned, some of these guys might be back next year. We've seen one, maybe correct me there if I'm wrong, portal. One player announced that he is going to the portal thus far for Clemson. But when you talk about this team developing guys and what the recipe is for Eric Bakich breaking through, because it takes time to break through sometimes. It took Dabo Swinney time, right? What do you think that recipe is?
So I think this recipe, and it's interesting how Bakich has sort of framed this group, and I think a lot of it, and I know it's been turned into a viral meme, but part of what Clemson has tried to separate themselves is they're a little bit different, and sort of the way they're trying to reframe the ballpark, the way they had the Savannah Bananas come to town and sort of add a little bit more fun. And something that Bakich pointed out in January was he wants to remind these guys that this is just still kids playing a game. And this can be fun. This isn't supposed to be a stressful 9 to 5 where you have people in the comment section coming after you. I will get you your follow back, by the way, JD. I promise you after this section. But there is just sort of this, I think, and Bakich had pointed it out in the press conference after the Kentucky game, they're going to have to build through pitching and they're going to have to build through power hitting and try to find a way to get some more consistency on both ends, something that you didn't really have, to be completely honest with you, this year. And so it's sort of like you have to reset after a season like this. I know that 45 wins, you look at that on paper and go, wow, what a great job they did. But this is a different standard for Clemson, and they've elevated themselves to that point fairly so with a lot of successes, but also that comes with the added expectation you're going to become a victim of your own success.
Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com, joining me right here on the Fan Upstate. Grayson, do you think it's time to take Omaha off the back of the Haps?
No, I think you got to remind yourself of what the standard is. Obviously, you fell short of that, but it's still the goal you want to be able to achieve. And so taking that hat off would almost be maybe just like waving the white flag in a sense of being like, well, I guess we're not really capable of that. We might as well take them off until we actually do it. I think that
I had to ask you.
So it's been a popular comment, so I don't really blame you. But that would be in my sense of Bakich sort of waving the white flag in that sense. So I would keep it on the hats. You got to remind yourself of what the ultimate goal is. And so
100%.
That's got to be the energy there.
And then when you look at 2026, this Clemson team, Cam Cannarella obviously was the big piece of the 2025 team. Replacing that's going to be tough. Plus the things that you mentioned. Who do you think's the guy next year when it comes to Clemson baseball? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just knee-jerk reaction. I feel like this team's got a lot of work cut out between now and an Omaha appearance next season. I feel like there's a lot of things this Clemson staff's going to have to address between now and next year.
You know, there's a player that he popped into the lineup late into the season, but players that I really like that I think could develop into nice pieces. TP Wentworth, someone that I think just has the enormous stature and sort of reminds you of like a tight end or a linebacker, someone that could just go over to across the street and maybe try out for Swinney. We're seeing that right now, and Shefflin was there at Swinney's camp today.
Yeah.
For anyone that was curious. But he's a player that I really like, has all the right stuff, and probably could pitch too for this team as well. Talon Bell, I know it wasn't the greatest outing for him, but I do think that there's someone that with time could develop into something nice. Again, it's going to be these freshman players that have to be tasked with making big jumps, and that's going to have to be Summer League ball in Cape Cod or something like that, where you really have to take that next step for this group to be as consistent. There's going to be a lot of question marks, and a lot of it's going to be determined on how Bakich uses the portal and so on. But I think at the end of the day, some of this homegrown talent that they've recruited, it's going to have to start popping off real soon.
Yeah. Jackson Cole, local product from right here in Bowling Springs in the upstate in Spartanburg, has also announced that he will hit the transfer portal as well with 3 years of eligibility left. 6'2", 190-pound left-handed pitcher right here from Bowling Springs. Grayson, you mentioned what happened today with Clemson's, not just today, but last weekend as well. Ian Shefflin today, some big-time recruits visiting the Tigers. We've seen the likes of a local product, a running back whose name I get to call on Friday nights, and Trey Segura. who's highly touted, get offered. You saw Sammy Brown's younger brother in attendance today, I believe. It seems like this is a week and a weekend that's held some pretty significant weight for the Tigers.
Yeah, the future for this group, and they had a visual visit weekend coinciding with regionals, so it's a lot of different moving parts all at once. It's like another crossover season for the summertime. But you mentioned some of those names: Segura, Max Brown. The 2027 offers have started to come out. They started on June 1st. Talked to a couple of them. CJ Spiller and Segura have a really unique relationship that feels very personal. And so that's going to be one of CJ's guys moving forward in this cycle. See if Clemson can seal the deal there at some point. Clemson's doing amazing work with Max Brown. And obviously, they're going to be, excuse me with the camera there, Max Brown, obviously, with the tie with Sammy and the familial, sentimental value. This was one Clemson. All they got to do is pretty much send the offer in the mail, and it's going to be one that I think is going to, people are going to hear some good news pretty soon on that front. But Clemson's been doing a lot of good work on the recruiting trail. And we've got a ton of it, just kind of self-plug here. We've been talking to Leo Delaney, 4-star tackle out of Charlotte. Really great visit, choosing between Clemson and Michigan and Penn State. I talked to Bryce Perry-Wright, 5-star out of Buford, and felt like that was one that Clemson had to do some legwork with. Felt like he was a Tiger for quite some time, just sort of in the prediction sense of it. But left really genuinely impressed with what Dabo Swinney wanted to do. And this official visit weekend stuff is where he shines, is he gets days to reel you in and talk about the program and talk about what is important to them and what they look for in a player. And so it's a culmination of so many months of intense recruiting. And so you get to just sort of enjoy being, it's almost like you're a Tiger for a weekend and you get to be on campus and hang out and fish and go on the boat. And so it's a weekend like no other. And so we've heard a lot of positive returns on our end.
I did have one question on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, Grayson, for you. And you mentioned that relationship. CJ Spiller was just a couple of weeks ago at the high school showcase that Burns did. Trey Segura and CJ Spiller were able to spend some time. Tennessee's high on Segura and Georgia, and everybody is. He's this exceptional running back, so that'll be fun to see how that culminates with C.J. Spiller and his relationship that you mentioned. One texter asked, what are Grayson's thoughts about what he saw from now former USC Upstate pitcher Amp Phillips, who is now in the portal? Is he worth pursuing?
I'd say so. I mean, he's not too far away, and you got a good look at him in a postseason environment. Pitched very well, and has a lot of a nice repertoire with him. I think that it's going to be interesting because you look at someone like Amp Phillips, and how I would view it is that Clemson would be recruiting him to be maybe the Saturday or Sunday guy, because I think that still in terms of velocity doesn't necessarily have the 96, 97 that you were seeing some of these top teams throwing out there, but still a very nice talent, can show that he can compete with the big dogs. And so for Clemson to be able to snag him after losing someone like Darden, you sort of throw one Saturday starter out and throw him in with a new one. So definitely makes sense for Eric Bakich and co. to give this a look.
How soon do you think Bakich and those guys will start getting guys in? I mean, timeline-wise, here we are in June. Obviously, college baseball season's still happening with super regionals this weekend. But from a timeline stance of getting guys back into the program, what's that timeline look like in your mind?
Bakich said they had exit interviews the day after Kentucky. And so I'd imagine that they've already been pretty busy on the phone lines trying to set up visits. I think that this group, and Bakich understands, they got to waste no time here. This is a group that needs some more talent, and they need to put some juice back into this fan base. I wouldn't be shocked if they have visits set up already. I'm not saying I know that, but
yeah,
wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Grayson, you're the best, man. Really appreciate you taking time in the midst of your busy day and all that you have going on. We appreciate you as always.
I mean, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. The absolute best. Give him a follow on Twitter, on X, if you have not done so already. Just doesn't get that. That's awesome. Really good stuff. Really good stuff from Grayson. So we'll take a break, come back. Tolos, I do want to let you know, as we are about to run to our daily wires, we did have several texts on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line that I was not able to get to about the narratives and the storylines of the college football season that's coming up. So I want to let you know at 5 o'clock, let's dive back into that. In about 20 minutes, like 8 or 9 texts that came in as soon as I ran off the break. It'll be a new audience as well. let's re-dive back into the college football storylines, and I'll get to those texts that I missed at 5 o'clock. But the top stories in all of sports, we call them the Daily Wires. That's next. is happening in the sports world? We've talked college baseball, super regionals, a little college football that we're going to dive right back into at 5 o'clock. Don't worry, Tolos. I know we kind of missed a lot of your reactions and text. We're going to dive right back into that, but so much more happening in the sports world in one segment. It's called Daily Wires right now happening on the Fan Upstate. I'll let you know of every story, just about every story that's happening across the sports world. Let's start with the NBA. How about this? A firing on this third day of June. Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau after his best run in 25 years. He led them to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks' best run in 25 years. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show and give you my thoughts on that. But the New York Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau. The Atlanta Braves will host the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. First pitch 7:15. Spencer Strider on the mound for the Bravos, facing Arizona's Zach Gallen. The Braves positive are 17-11 at home, so maybe the Braves can get it done tonight at the old ballpark in Cobb County. Let's see. The Steelers are not expected to trade for Dolphins tight end Geno Smith after engaging with talks with Miami. They will host free agent Gabe Davis on a visit later this week. ESPN's Adam Schefter broke on Tuesday. Wake Forest baseball coach Tom Walter apologized Tuesday for what appeared to be an anti-gay slur caught by television cameras during an NCAA tournament regional game against Tennessee. Walter said, "I am very sorry for my outburst and frustration last night, and I recognize the hurt and disappointment it has caused," Walter said in a statement issued by the school. He's also went on to say, "I own the consequences and apologize to the University of Tennessee, to Wake Forest University, and to the SEC and ACC." Walter said he watched the video and doesn't remember the specific moment, but he said the language doesn't reflect my values and or standards of the programs. Really weird situation there involving Wake Forest and Tom Walters. In Houston, Texans coach DeMeco Ryans said Tuesday that he has no concerns about C.J. Stroud's limited throwing during OTAs due to general soreness in his shoulder, saying that there's no concerns. He should be good to go. It's just general soreness. They're just taking precaution, and he'll be good to go, says DeMeco Ryans. Hall of Fame quarterback Peyton Manning has joined the ownership group of the Denver NWSL expansion franchise that will begin play next year. Manning, the 5-time NFL MVP and 2-time Super Bowl champion who retired with the Broncos, is making this announcement today, and a significant blow. Oh, let me back up. That's a different storyline there, but really interesting news there involving Peyton Manning. The Hub City Spartanburgers are back in action tonight after one day off. You heard from Chad Comer earlier in the show. They're on the road tonight, facing the Greensboro Grasshoppers. First pitch set for 6:30 p.m. The Burgers versus the Grasshoppers. Who wins that one tonight? College baseball super regionals are set and will begin on Friday in a best-of-3 series. The final series of the College Softball World Series is set and will begin on Wednesday evening. Game 1 between Texas and Texas Tech will begin at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. The NHL Finals will begin tomorrow night and will feature the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Puck drop scheduled for 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Wire to Wire will be live tomorrow on location at Ingalls Markets in Boiling Springs. It's the Asheville Highway location, Springfield, as us locals call it. And Diesel and I will be there. Diesel's back from his vacation. Hopefully he remembers what time to show up. It's been so long, right? Last one for you in this hour, in this segment titled Daily Wires. Augusta National wants to crack down on secondary tickets and the resale market. They'll be raising ticket prices going forward in the future. Worried about those resale tickets. I don't know, man. It feels like I saw reports where they're going from like 140 to 160, but it seems like those are like, where do you find those tickets, right? Ladies and gentlemen, those are your Daily Wires, all of the top stories in sports into one segment. And we're going to dive right back into the college football discussion in the very next segment. We had a fun discussion at 4 o'clock. However, we ran out of time, big time. And there were a lot of texts on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line that I was not able to get to. So, Tolos, phone lines are open, text line open as well. I want to know, on this third day of June, which storylines heading into college football season about 2.5 months away intrigue you the most in the month of June? Obviously, your opinions may change. In July, you may be thinking about something else. August, you're probably going to be thinking about your team. But here, as we sit in the month of June, what are those storylines that have piqued your interest? I'll tell you mine, and we'll rehash a lot of the conversation had at 4 o'clock. I want to hear from you, Tolos, next. Cannot wait to dive right back into the conversation that we had at 4 o'clock today. It's one of those conversations that we have to revisit because you Tolos were very interactive on the stream on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line just an hour ago. We talked about the most intriguing storylines heading into the 2025 college football season, and the text line went nuts. It went bonkers. I guess you Tolos are just so ready to have college football back. We'll save NFL for another day, probably next week or so. But when it comes to college football, that's the question I ask you right here on the Fan Upstate. What are the storylines that intrigue you the most? I gave 3 at 4 o'clock, and I will allow you Tolos that are just tuning in for the very first time on this Tolo Tuesday to rank my top 3 storylines and see how you would rank them, how you would place them. I know we have a brand new audience of Tolos who are heading home from work, clocking out of that job that they love or hate right now at 5 p.m. And I want to hear from you, Tolos. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm Cole Bryson. Diesel will be back tomorrow as we'll be live at Ingles Markets in Boiling Springs. But let's go to the phone lines first while you Tolos get that text line rolling at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. 101 Tolos watching the stream on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I am excited, and I'm really glad to see this caller on hold. Tom in Somerville a couple weeks ago, it feels like a month ago, told us that he was going off on some trip. He told Diesel and I, and Diesel's been on vacation for like a week and a half, so I know it's been a long time. But days went by, nights went by, and I thought, man, Tom in Somerville, I hope he's okay. I hadn't heard from him. You know, some of you Tolos, when we don't hear from you, we worry about you. You know, we don't have any other way of knowing if you're okay. So, look, Tom in Somerville has called the show during the commercial break, and I am thrilled to know that Tom's okay, or at least somebody might be calling from his same number. But Tom in Somerville, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm good to be back. Good to be back.
Where have you been?
I was in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Colorado.
Wow.
So it was a good time.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of the Lord's precious work at hand.
Wow.
You know,
I love
it's
that.
gorgeous country out there.
I bet so. Better than Somerville?
Oh yeah, a little bit better than old Somerville. Only thing that sucked is I didn't have any cell signal 95% of the time I was out there.
That's why you couldn't call.
And so I couldn't call. I couldn't watch any sports. I was going crazy. And so when I got back late last night, I was looking to see what day the Super Regional started and try to figure out where Clemson's playing. And because I thought they were supposed to go down to LSU and play this coming weekend. But when I looked at the schedule, I didn't see Clemson. So I'm generally concerned for the Clemson Tigers as to why I did not see their name. Did they lose this weekend? This past weekend, Cole? Did they lose?
Tom, you rascal. You know better than that. You know better.
I was just curious. I'm worried about those Clemson Tigers because, you know, all year we heard about how good they were and how this year is going to be different. And I hate to be wrong, but, I think they got beat again in their own regional. And, I got curious and I was looking and, well, they didn't just get beat. They got clobbered. And I mean clobbered. So, I hate it for you Tigers, but at the same time, I love it. I absolutely love it that once again, the 2010 curse lives on. Clemson baseball has never been the same since 2010, and they never will be.
What
The
happened?
curse
What
lives on.
happened in 2010, Tom?
Oh, I would love to refresh your memory there. So, in the year of 2010, there was another school in the state that was also in the College World Series.
Yep. In Columbia.
They came out of the losers bracket, and they beat another team twice to get to the national championship. I'll give you one guess who that team was. They beat twice to get to the national championship.
Clemson.
And then that's right. And even better, guess who won the national championship that year?
The Gamecocks.
The Gamecocks. And ever since 2010, Clemson has not been back to the College World Series. And it seems like every year they start to get rolling, they just fall flat on their face in their own regional. And it gets better and better every single year.
You said you
So
feel
all
bad.
you
Tom, you said you feel bad. You don't really feel bad.
I'd be lying if I said I do feel bad. But at the same time, Clemson fans have just had it rough when it comes to this rivalry the last little bit. Whether it was basketball, whether it was football, you did beat us in baseball. You swept us.
Uh-huh.
And, you thought maybe this year was going to be different. But at the end of the day, the year ends the same. Getting knocked out by an SEC team in your own regional. So maybe next year, for a while, South Carolina fans, had adopted that phrase, maybe next year. Well, I think it's now time Clemson fans, instead of having Omaha on the back of the hats like they did all those years,
They still
just
do.
need to put – oh, they still do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe they need to remove Omaha and put maybe next year.
Tom, you're the best. By the way, Texter says, ask Tom in Somerville how his favorite college baseball team's doing. Look, you're getting some pushback, obviously. Clemson fans not going to be excited to hear you on these airwaves today.
Hey, they're active in the portal, okay? They're active in the portal. They had a head start. Unfortunately, this wasn't the year,
Yeah.
but they're going to be fine. Paul's going to get it fixed.
Oh,
Paul's
wow.
going to get it fixed.
Positivity
So-
from Tom.
I ain't going to talk about the Braves today, but go Gamecocks.
Thanks, Tom. Good to hear from you. Good to know you're alive.
Absolutely.
Tom in Somerville at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. It must be nice to have that kind of money that Tom has where he can go visit every state under the sun, right? And whatever job I'm telling you, Tom in Somerville's got it made, doesn't he? Tom's getting everybody stirred up, though, on the stream, the text line. Oh, my gosh, more text. Tom, you're doing it. Tom, you did it. You did it. Texter says from the 843, let's see. Please tell me, a Carolina fan, a team that had one of its worst years in program history, is calling and making fun of a Clemson team that hosted a regional for the third straight year. Texter, you'd be correct. Meet Tom in Somerville. Look, that's not the only one, though. I want to be fair to Tom. I saw it all over Twitter. There are, to this day, today's, Tuesday? I have a tweet thread of Clemson and Carolina fans, and somehow I'm still in it from a video I tweeted out of the fans leaving, that still today, Carolina fans and Clemson fans still arguing about baseball. It was not just Tom, just so you know. Just so you know, it's not just Tom in Somerville that's crowing. There's a lot of Look, you're right, Texter. They didn't have a good season, but guess what Gamecock fans are going to do? Gamecock fans are going to crow regardless of if they had a good season or not. When Clemson lost this past weekend, I saw so many Gamecock fans on Twitter talking trash. It's just part of it, right? It's part of it. It really is. Let's see, on the stream, a lot of comments on there where you can watch the show. 126 Tolos doing so right now at 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. Let's get caught up on some of those. Ricky. I want to get to this comment. Ricky on Facebook says, what's up, Cole, watching from Myrtle Beach. Ricky, what's up, man? Good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. Appreciate you tuning in to a little bit of the show. We did get derailed there by Tom in Somerville, but that's okay. Let's see. April Mosley says, well played, Tom. JD says, Tom can't remember the Tolo, but he remembers 2010. Yeah. I do too. I remember it. It was bad. If you're a Clemson fan, it was. JB says, ask Tom in Somerville how the Green Wave did in the softball championships against the Lady Rebels of Burns state champions. You're right about that, JB. How about that? They broke a pretty long streak, right? 83 games or something like that. Yeah. Congratulations to the Burns Rebels, by the way. They won on Sunday? Is that or Saturday? That game was on Saturday, so congrats to the Lady Rebels. You're right, state champions. I did reach out to their softball coach, JV, Brandy Aiken, to try to get her on, but no response. So I did not. I was not successful in getting her on this week, but congratulations to the Rebels. Let's go back to the phone lines. JD, I believe, wants to weigh in for like the third time today on the phone lines. What's up, JD?
Hey, yeah, I'll be really quick. That's what I am. I get in, get out, get off.
Okay, TMI.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all, Clemson fans. All right, so for whoever it was who wanted to tell me to pipe down yesterday, and whoever it was that's responding to Tom, let me give you a little piece of advice, okay? If you don't want Gamecocks growing, maybe you should tell your head coach not to mention the Gamecocks in his press conference when you get smoked in your own region.
Whoa.
Clemson.
JD, I'm going to let you go on, but I am going to stop you. You're mad about Eric Bakich mentioning Carolina and the press conference. Who did Paul Mainieri mention in his opening press conference when he was hired at South Carolina?
Yeah, but Paul Mainieri didn't lose a regional. We didn't even play in a
So
regional.
Paul Mainieri can bring Clemson's name up, but Eric Bakich can't bring Carolina's name up.
No. You can bring our name up, but not when you get smoked by a bunch of different teams that have nothing to do with us.
Sounds like you're a little
Wait, no,
salty there, JD.
No. I feel where you're coming from, Cole. I do. And like I said, I was trying to be quick. I was trying to let you get back to your
You're
football
good.
talk.
Yeah, you're good. It's all good.
But you listen. If you don't want Gamecock fans coming out and talking about the Clemson baseball team losing, maybe you shouldn't mention us in the press conference. Hey, our season was already done. We already tied it up in a nice little Christmas bow. We were sitting at home on the couch. So why in the world would you bring that back up again? And then to Tom's point, and I'll ask this question genuinely, did we curse Clemson baseball by beating them in 2010? Tom can't remember the Tolo, but maybe we put a curse on y'all. Maybe we did like a little curse. And then to get you back to your football talk, one question we've all been asking on the stream and everywhere, we all want to know, how is Ian Shefflin looking at playing football? Y'all be blessed, not stressed. And, hey, Clemson Tigers, I love you guys.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Series.
Thanks, JD.
Love you.
JD, obviously, look, it struck a nerve. Maybe it's not just JD, but Eric Bakich saying that he was proud of his team, his seniors, for being able to go out or being able to say that they're going out in this season. Yeah, it's a bad way to go out, but being able to say that they did sweep South Carolina evidently struck a nerve for some Gamecock fans out there. Let's see. A friend of mine texts me and says, tell Tom the best thing about a Gamecock fan is opening day in football, LOL, on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. But this turned into a nice rivalry segment. It wasn't intended to be, but that's where Utolos went with it, thanks to Tom. So we'll take it there. Corn Chip says, makes sense. A rival's loss is a win for me in my books. And that's what it is, Corn Chip, right? Like, ultimately, yeah, you have your own problems to worry about, but when your rival loses, it's a good day. I mean, look, like I said, on Twitter, I saw hundreds and hundreds of Gamecock fans excited and jumping for joy on Sunday when the Clemson season came to an end. Look, it's just a rivalry. It's part of it. You might like it, you might not, but it is the rivalry. Let's see. Texter from the 901 says, all Carolina fans can ever brag about is when Clemson loses in the playoffs that South Carolina wasn't in. Ooh, 901 bringing it strong there. 901 bringing it strong. Again, he says, all Carolina fans can ever brag about is when Clemson loses in the playoffs that the South Carolina Gamecocks weren't in. All right, let me grab this one quick phone call, real quick, Tolos. Wire to wire, what's your name? Back to the phone lines we go at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Kevin, Tolo. Kevin wants to weigh in. What's up, Kevin?
What's going on, my guy?
Man, I'm just I am the mediator right now between the Carolina and Clemson rivalry trash talk that's happening on these airwaves.
That's exactly why you mentioned somebody's name. To go ahead, if you mention that name now, they fired up already to get the season started again. Football, basketball, cricket, it don't matter. If it's South Carolina and Clemson, mention it. Get it started now. I like it.
So you don't have a problem with Eric? I mean, I don't think he was taking a dig. I think he was just saying, look, our seniors can say they went out by sweeping the rival, but obviously, Kevin, it struck a nerve deep with some Gamecocks.
It did, and it always will. Just like they didn't have a good season, like they went through it this year, so they're a little sour right now. Clemson got beat; they went a little further than they did, but it don't matter. You got next year. Get it together now and put it in line. You already know it's fired up already. Like,
I know, man.
All the way through in every sport. I love it. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like that's like okay from high school football with rivals and all that. I can't stand that Chapman and Chesney don't play no more. That's completely nuts to me. That Chapman and Chesney don't play no more because that's grandmas, aunts, uncles, and everybody that don't like each other right now. I like all that. Rivals like now it's more of hey, how you doing? How you mom and them? All that good stuff. Yeah. No, we can't like nobody on game day. But when that clock start, I don't like nobody in your family. I just told your mom I love her last night. Clock start, I can't stand her.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah, man. But it's all in the game, and it's all in fun and having fun with it. Ain't nobody making no more like.
What's your name?
Neither one of them really. I mean, Clemson got off and they did better than they did, but at the same time, hey man, that's why we play the game.
That's right. I'm with you, Kev. I'm with you. That's why we play the game. Great call as always. Thanks, Kev.
All right, man.
844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Got to run to a break. We might have time for one more call real quick. Let's see who we got. Wider, what's your name? All right, never mind. Caller did not respond when I went to the caller. So we're going to run to a break. We're joined by Jack Veltri. Grayson Mann earlier helped us put a bow on the Clemson spring sports season. We're transitioning to football today. That's a big day. I told you we're doing that. Jack Veltri joins us next to do the same thing, put a bow on the 2024-2025 spring sports season at South Carolina. That's next. joined in this very segment by Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. Been over a month or so since we've had Jack on, and today, Jack, is a big day on Wire to Wire. I'm solo. I am putting a bow on a lot of things. We're tidying up, right? Spring cleaning. We're putting a bow on the Clemson season, the South Carolina season, which has been done for a couple of weeks or has been over for a couple of weeks now. But transitioning to talking season in college football, I've gotten a little bit of pushback, and I want to know from you, Jack Veltri, on the 3rd day of June, is it okay to go ahead and start transitioning to college football talk? Let me try that again. I'm sorry, Jack. Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, man, I can hear you now. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's perfectly okay to start
good.
transitioning into talking season with college football, in the state of South Carolina, just because both Carolina and Clemson, unless you're a Coastal Carolina fan or cover Coastal Carolina, South Carolina and Clemson are both done with baseball and softball this year. So I think it's the appropriate time to begin the talking season.
Talking season's here. You're going to talk to Jack Veltri to put a bow on the Gamecock spring season. Hey, you mentioned Coastal Carolina, the only team from the state in the Supers. We had, a pretty good showing in the regionals. Clemson obviously went down, and we all know what kind of year South Carolina had. But Upstate was the 3rd team in the regionals. Coastal Carolina being in the Super Regionals and Clemson and South Carolina not being, in your mind, says what?
Yeah, I think Coastal is in a very good spot right now. Obviously, they had to replace a legendary head coach after last season, and Kevin Schnall has done a phenomenal job picking up right where Coastal left off in the last few years. I mean, this is a program that's not too far removed from going to Omaha and winning a College World Series. And in the case of South Carolina and Clemson, I mean, look, they have been the teams that have dominated this state for decades, and specifically the Gamecocks since the turn of the century. But Coastal's had a very good season, and now they got a tough test going out to Auburn, which should be really tough this weekend. But 2 wins away from going to Omaha, so that says a lot about the Chanticleers.
Hey, Jack, did you hear the audio from Kevin Schnall after the Kevin O'Sullivan incident? Did you hear that?
I did, and I've had a lot of thoughts on the whole Kevin O'Sullivan situation.
Let's hear 'em.
With Florida. It's not necessarily ideal. It's not something that you want to. If you're representing your program as a head coach at an SEC school, and look, Sully's a veteran. I mean, he's been coaching at Florida for years now, and you have to be able to recognize the fact that we live in a day and age where social media is king, and everyone records everything. And for so much information on what happened with Sully over that regional in Conway this weekend, for all that to pretty much get out there, and then for that statement to be made by Scott Strickland, and then obviously Sully as well, it's just a really bad situation there, I would say, and definitely not a good look as Florida's season comes to an end in disappointing fashion.
I don't know if I've ever seen a coach that mad. I mean, he was just consistently mad, I mean, it wasn't like he got mad and got over it. Those 2 different separate incidents, Jack, it was alarming, right? It was almost, I mean, does this guy need to be checked? Is he okay? Is he doing it? I don't know, but to your point, I agree with you. It was not the best look, right? For the university. Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, joining me right here on the Fan Upstate. Jack, do you have an issue with, by the way, want to preface by saying several of our listeners of our Tolos did. We spent almost a whole segment, last segment, talking about it. But do you have an issue with Eric Bakich in his post-game press conference as the season was over on Sunday, giving his seniors credit for being able to sweep their rival this season? Some of our listeners who are Gamecock fans, it struck a nerve with them.
So when you put it exactly like that, it sounds fine, right? That Bakich is giving credit to his seniors for a strong season, which included sweeping South Carolina. Now that was brought up unprompted, and making a point on that you swept South Carolina right after you got embarrassed in your own regional in a 16-4 loss to Kentucky in a year where, beating South Carolina should be expected, right? If you're in this rivalry, it should be South Carolina should expect to beat Clemson every year, and vice versa with Clemson beating South Carolina. That's the bare minimum, right? Now, Clemson, as we know, they have Omaha on the back of their hats, right? So that's their ultimate goal every year. And so to come up short of that is, for as strong as the season was, it could be viewed as a failure by many. And so to bring that up right after a really tough loss, the end of the season, another year where this drought is going to continue since Clemson hasn't been to Omaha since 2010, I can understand that it really rubbed some Clemson fans the wrong way. And maybe that's Bakich, a guy that's been around Clemson for so long now, trying to kind of soften the blow of how the season ended and stuff. But honestly, I think it's something that for a Clemson fan, they probably don't want to hear. And if you're South Carolina kind of looking at it, it's like, all right, congrats. You swept one of the worst teams in program history this year.
Good response. I like that, Jack. I do. So my follow-up to that would be, according to Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central, whose opinion we highly respect, when it comes to this season, here we are on the 3rd of June. You said it. Clemson did sweep South Carolina. South Carolina was not good this season. That's also a fact. In your mind, which fan base should have bragging rights only in the sport of baseball?
I would say Clemson, just because they did sweep South Carolina. But at the same time, both teams are sitting on the couch right now, as Omaha will be determined this weekend in super regionals. That's where you want to go if you're those programs. Like, it's a disappointment in a lot of ways that South Carolina had the season that they had, and it's nowhere near good enough. But for Clemson, a program that was, keep in mind, ranked top 5 at one point this season, looking to be unstoppable, obviously had a little bit of a slide as the regular season went on, which all teams go through. To have a disappointment like this, and it feels like year after year, Clemson kind of has those expectations of getting to the top, just like everyone, and then they kind of fall short. We saw it last year with hosting the Super Regional against Florida. I thought it was going to be a very winnable series for the Tigers. They end up getting swept in some of the craziest games you'll see. So I think Clemson's got the bragging rights right now, but I don't think either team is really feeling that much better one way or the other. But I guess Clemson, if you had to really chalk it down to that.
Jack, when you look at what happened last week in the portal for the Gamecocks, it was like the old Santa Claus movie where Santa Claus had the naughty and nice list, and it just continued to go on, and it hit the ground, and it continued to continue, right? It was a long, long list. It seems like kind of the same when you look at the Gamecocks last week that hopped in that transfer portal. Your reaction to what, I don't know, did you ever hear the Calipari soundbite? I believe I still have it. I kind of feel like this is where Palmineri is right now.
I met with the team. There is no team.
The team for South Carolina, what's left, Jack?
So they have a lot of players that have entered the portal. I believe it's up to 14 players right now.
Ooh.
And quite frankly, look, that number is big, but at the same time, I think a lot of the guys that they're losing, I think South Carolina was okay with moving on or coming to a mutual decision that it might be best to part ways and for these kids to go look for opportunities elsewhere. Because number one, it's either they just weren't performing to the level that South Carolina expected, or they just weren't getting the playing time that they wanted here with the Gamecocks. And so I understand it from that standpoint. However, I think the bigger deal that we need to focus on here is the fact that they have been keeping a lot of the key players that coming into the portal cycle, you were kind of wondering after the season, that they're like, okay, are they going to be able to keep Bo Holland, KJ Scobie, the players that they really want? Well, they have, and those guys are coming back, and you have 5 other players who are coming back as well. Mind you, also including Jake McCoy, who started the most games on staff this year for South Carolina as a regular in the weekend rotation, as someone who can throw extremely hard, 97, 98, and has a really high ceiling. Just needs to develop more and put it a little bit more together to get that command under control. So I think South Carolina has kind of done a good job so far of weeding out who they want to keep, who they're okay with losing, and then you still have the portal cycle here, which they've got 3 transfers coming in right now, but obviously, as we all know, they have a lot more work to do to go fill out this roster.
So do you feel like, based on what you just said, Jack, do you feel like they're just trimming some fat? That sounds sounds derogatory, sounds a little disrespectful for me to say it that way, but ultimately, if the guys that you had weren't good and you're losing those guys, are you really upset about it?
Well, I don't think it's the fact that they're not good. I think a lot of the guys that they are losing are super talented. Like, you're losing Jace Floyd.
Yeah, Jace is good. Yeah.
Yeah, Jace had a good year. You just lost Ryder Garino today, who's a freshman right-hander who, honestly, I think has a lot of potential. I mean, he's hitting mid-90s, very good stuff. Again, I just think it's one of those things where some of these guys just want to go seek an opportunity elsewhere. And I don't really blame them, to be honest, because maybe they'll be better at another school. And the time will tell on that stuff. But again, in trimming fat off, I don't know if I'd necessarily put it like that, but they are opening up more spots in this roster to where if Paul Mainieri, wants a certain player, he can go out and get them potentially, and obviously got to get them to commit and stuff. But he has the luxury of roster spots being open, putting the roster together the way he envisions it.
Jack, do you feel like and I'm sure these phone calls and these discussions have already taken place or started to take place, but when South Carolina's on the phone getting guys in to visit, do you feel like it's more Paul Mainieri on the phone, or do you feel like it's more Monty Lee on the phone?
Well, I think it's also Terry Rooney, who's the recruiting coordinator, who has, been kind of the main focal point of a lot of the recruiting going on here at South Carolina. And to harken back to something Paul said at his introductory press conference last year, he's kind of said he was new to a lot of this stuff going on with the transfer portal and recruiting and NIL and stuff, and that it was really just going to be, paraphrasing here, kind of a team effort of Monty, Terry Rooney, John Hendry, everyone kind of doing their job to go out there and get the players that they want. So I do think Paul is very much involved in a lot of the decisions that are being made here. Of course, he has the final say on everything. But, of course, Terry Rooney, Monty Lee, they're definitely doing their part in trying to get this thing turned around as well.
Do you feel like in that process, as by the way, we're joined right now on the Fan Upstate by Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central, and I'm just intrigued by what you're saying, so that's why I'm continuing to expound. Do you feel like in that process, Terry Rooney, and maybe even maybe Terry has guys under him who bring him names, and Terry Rooney then takes those names to Monty Lee, and Monty Lee then takes them to Paul Mainieri? How does that process look like in your mind?
I think it's definitely, look, after the season they've had and the stuff that comes out, with that report by John Whittle and stuff, and, hearing a lot of kind of the similar things, not sure exactly what that process looks like, behind the scenes right now. But, of course, I mean, you see Terry on Twitter and stuff, always putting the Go Cox, tweet out when a commitment is happening and stuff. And, look, they know that this is a very important portal cycle for them. Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of this roster to replace with all the guys leaving and trying to really turn this thing around, because they're going from a 28-29 season to trying to not just get back to the postseason, but their goal is to get to Omaha. So we'll see if they can do it. But so far, I do like a lot of the guys they're bringing in, but still a lot of spots to fill out, and I feel like they still need a lot more transfers to come in.
You brought it up, Jack. I've been asked about it, as you can imagine. I'm sure you have. I was at an establishment a couple of weekends ago, in Spartanburg, on a Saturday evening, and somebody asked me about it. John Whittle's article, his report. Your thoughts on it?
I think it's one of those things where you read it, and I think the common word that I've seen just thrown around out there is just really damning. I mean, that's truly what it is. Yeah. And whether or not it's completely accurate or whatever, look, John's a great reporter. He's a good friend, and so look, I believe a lot in what he reported. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to go out there and report something like that. And to be honest, I've heard a lot of similar things that are, in fact, in that article, and I haven't heard otherwise on this stuff being false or whatever. So, look, I think I respect John a lot that he put it out there, and look, it brings to light a lot of the issues that are seemingly going on internally. And look, the staff might not be changing next year, but I think it does lead to this discussion of, okay, something has to change internally from how you coach guys, what you're doing to make them successful, because obviously whatever happened this year just was not good enough, just given the record and the results and how bad things were at times.
This is, I'm going to ask you this question. You don't have to answer it. And I agree with you, by the way. John Whittle's a friend of the show. We have him on. He's great. I respect John. And I don't question anything that he put in the article. Just a question that I do want to ask you, though, because you're in the media, you're on the beat at South Carolina. Do you feel like the coaches might have a problem with what was said?
I'm not sure exactly. We have not seen too much publicly on a statement or anything. Now, Jeremiah Donati South Carolina's athletic director, did speak with Jordan Kay from the state this past week at the SEC meetings in Destin, and did briefly comment on it. And if you want to go ahead and check that story out on the state, definitely go ahead and do so. It's a good story, I know, but I think it's one of those things where he basically just alluded to the fact that there's a lot of half truths in there and stuff, and then you see some of the posts online from some of the players and stuff, and don't believe everything you read. Look, I think what John wrote is true. It's just we haven't really seen an official statement one way or the other from the administration, the coaching staff, whatever you may be from South Carolina, just to kind of address this whole thing.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It really is with the current state of the program. Last baseball question as we put a final bow on the 2025 season, and obviously we'll talk to you during the summer and during the fall about football and other things, Jack. But when you look at this 2026 team, there's a lot of holes, as you said, that have to be filled. I don't know if they can be much worse in 2026 than they were in 2025. In your mind, look into your magic 8 ball, what does this Gamecock baseball team look like a year, or not even a year, but 8 months from now?
I mean, the one thing I will say, I'm not sure what exactly record's going to be, how they're going to look, just based on the fact that this is still a roster being put together right now. But from the pieces they have, from what they're bringing in, I'm excited about a lot of the guys they got coming in. My stance on it is just purely, it cannot get any worse than this season. I mean, you set so many program lows this year, most SEC losses, most overall losses in a season, worst pitching ERA. I mean, the list goes on of just things that went wrong for this team this year. So many blowout losses. If you're not getting blown out next year, if you're looking a lot more competitive, if you're coming pretty close to winning a lot of these games, and heck, maybe you win some SEC games that you maybe lost this past season. If that's the case, that's progress to me. Now, how they do next year, I'm not sure. It's very hard to go from where they were this year to turning it around and, being a national seed. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's something that I just think with how good the SEC is, with how much the landscape of college athletics and college baseball are changing, it's going to be tough. But if they can go out here and put together a really solid roster of guys that hit for power and throw extremely hard and have good numbers and stuff, I don't see why South Carolina can't at least be competitive.
Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. You're the best, Jack. Always appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, Cole. Thanks so much for having me.
Really good stuff there. Putting a bow. That was a good interview. Good bow there. I can't tie a bow, but that was a good one. That was a good interview there with Jack. Good stuff. And going back to that John Whittle article on the Big Spur, John's a good friend of the show. I respect the heck out of John. Personally, my opinion, look, there might be a few that side with me on this, but if you're a Gamecock fan and you've read what John put out there, it's lengthy. My opinion, I don't have one issue with it. I don't have any issue with it. I think it's great journalism that it hit maybe a little too close to home. Was it too? Look, I think he's doing his job. You go to a big market, New York City or Dallas or L.A. I mean, that's the daily beat. That's like if you can't handle what John Whittle said, I don't have to tell you. I don't have an issue with that piece by John Whittle. You Gamecock fans may. I don't. I personally don't. I thought it was look. I think sometimes you have to have those things come. And look, here's the reality. If they're true, why are you getting mad at John Whittle about it? I mean, come on. You're getting mad. Don't shoot the messenger if the things that are said are true, right? Oh, good stuff there. We'll continue hour number 3. My prediction. It's prediction time. I'm going to make a prediction on what I think happens in the NBA Finals. That's next. Yesterday on the show, I did a poll live on air where I polled you Tolos and I asked you, were you watching the NBA Finals? Are you going to watch the NBA Finals? A lot of you said no. A lot of you said yes. It was more no's than yeses. But now that we've done that, now that I know just how many of you Tolos plan to watch, I know every single listener out there didn't participate in the poll, and that's okay. But I want to give you my prediction on what's going to happen. I love making predictions because I love being wrong. I love making predictions because I love being wrong. Want to make sure you heard me say that. I may be right, but when you make predictions a lot of the times, you're going to be wrong. The more predictions you make, the more wrong you're going to be, right? I'm going to make my prediction. By the way, New York Knicks, breaking news, they did fire Tom Thibodeau. I did mention that in the Daily Wires in the beginning of the show. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper tomorrow. But I'm going to make my prediction on the NBA Finals and what I think will happen this week and next week. The Indiana Pacers have had a heck of a season. You look at what they've done defensively, their bench, their coach, they're really well coached. You look at Tyrese Halliburton and the star that he has turned into, the star that he has emerged into, right? He's sensational. Not only is he sensational, he's also shown that he's clutch. He's clutch. Tyrese Halliburton is a player, and the Indiana Pacers are a team that are deserving to be in the NBA. I think we're seeing the two best teams. And then on the other side, you have Oklahoma City, the Thunder. I believe SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, might be a tick better, and I just mean a tick better, than Tyrese Halliburton. Both teams are good. Both teams have depth. Both teams have really good role players. Both teams play defense. I don't know that this will be a great NBA Finals in terms of having the two big brands like, the Knicks that could have been, or LeBron or Steph or the big superstars, right? However, I think it will be competitive games. With that being said, Tolos, I'm going to put a few more eggs in the basket of SGA. Again, I said I think he's a tick better. A tick. Not much, a tick better. I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think it goes 6. I think this series, the NBA Finals, will go 6 games. And my official prediction as of the 3rd of June, I'm predicting Oklahoma City to win the NBA Finals in 6 games. I would not be shocked if it goes 7. Not at all. But I'm going to take OKC. Tolos, what do you think? If you're an NBA fan, who are you taking? What's your prediction? They'll begin Thursday, by the way. Final hour, power hour of the show. That's next. on stream and text line, baby. So OTAs, the NFL, it's football season, baby. How about Oklahoma going down? JB says the Knicks management are idiots. That's the side of the fire positive. How about that? Yeah.
Listen to the Fan Upstate on Odyssey no matter where you are, in the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate and you're in the game. The Fan Upstate. Your morning jolt of sports. It's the Rob Brown Show.
They was showing Angel Reese on TV, and was at my granddaughter's basketball game, and this lady yelled out, "Go, Angel Reese!" And the girl who she called Angel Reese immediately missed 3 layups. I'm probably the only one in the whole place who noticed it. And as soon as she said it, I'm like, "Oh no, don't do that to her." It's just like boom, boom.